سبيل الدموع سبيل مريح تنهدى يا صاحي كي تستريح نور على مر الزمان تألقا وأضاء للدنيا طريقا مشرقا وهدى من الرحمن.
We continue and we start off with the sin, asking one's husband for a divorce with no legitimate reason. Asking one's husband for a divorce with no legitimate reason. And like we spoke last week, we mentioned that in order to understand the rulings of Islam, you need to look at the rulings of Islam via Islam itself. If you try and look at the rulings of Islam via a different understanding, it's not going to make sense. And this is clear-cut and understandable. Just like anything in the world, does not matter what it is, whether it's a religion, whether it's a philosophy, whether it's a political system, whether it's a currency, does not matter what it is, it will never make sense unless you understand it from itself. So when it comes to the rulings of Islam, we're looking at the rulings of Islam via Islam itself, and we're in the process of looking at sins committed in a marriage regarding intimacy last week, and this week regarding a woman asking a man for a divorce for no legitimate reason. We spoke last week about, we ended off regarding zina, and we spoke about how this is linked sometimes to that phenomena, unfortunately, where once you have a woman who is not a virgin anymore, the haya, or a lot of the haya goes, and this is normal, and this is understandable. And that's why for the young girl who wants to get married, and the virgin girl wants to get married, the Prophet ﷺ said, her permission, for her to say yes, is her silence. Because she becomes shy to say, yes, I want to get married. She might be shy in saying that. So as long as she doesn't say, no, I don't want to get married, then it's allowed for her to get married, even if she hasn't verbally given her permission. As for the thayyib, as for the woman who's been married before, the Prophet ﷺ said about her to staqmar. She's asked if she wants to, and she has to reply, yes, I want to get married to that person. Why? Because khalas, a lot of that shyness is gone. She's not shy to say to a man or to her father, yes, she wants to be married. Because khalas, she knows what a man is, she knows how to be married, and a man has seen her. So a lot of that modesty that you find in a girl that hasn't experienced that is there. So when Islam says about divorce, it says, okay, people can get divorced. But it prefers that people get divorced with a reason, or for a reason. If there's a good reason to get divorced, the man is not good, the woman is not good, whatever it may be, they can't understand one another, they can't live happily with one another, okay, Islam allows divorce. But it looks down upon divorce, especially when it's done for no reason, because of one of the main reasons, because of the consequences that it leads to. You've got children growing up without households, etc. Last week we spoke about the man being more likely to commit zina. Also in this particular case, when the woman asks for a divorce, when she splits up, also there's more of a chance for her to commit zina. Because there is no more barriers. If she doesn't fear Allah, there's no more barriers stopping her from that. And if you were to look at the numbers of women who commit fornication before they're married or after they get divorced, you find after they get divorced is like starkly higher. Why? Because those barriers are no longer there. They've experienced it, and they're no longer virgins, and they don't have anything stopping them. They say, okay, no problem, I live my own life. So Islam does not like divorce, and when it's done for no reason. When there's a reason, there's no issue. But when there's no divorce, because of the consequences, it tries to prevent it as much people. Many women hasten to demand a divorce from their husbands for the least little argument, or if their husbands do not give them what they want of money, etc. Some women may be egged on by troublemakers among their relatives or neighbors to challenge their husbands with provocative words such as, if you were a real man, you would divorce me. The dire results of divorce are well known: breakdown of the family and children roaming the streets. A person may come to regret divorce when it is too late. For all these reasons and others, the Sharia wisely prohibited such actions. The Sharia, it knows, again, because Allah Azza wa Jalla is Al-Hakim, Allah Azza wa Jalla is the wise, Allah is Al-Alim, Allah is the all-knowing. The Sharia already, in the beginning of the marriage, put the divorce in the hands of the male, at the beginning of the marriage. So the woman cannot divorce the man whenever she wants. She cannot say to the husband, you're divorced. The Sharia doesn't allow that. Why? Because it knows that women are more emotionally driven. A lot of their decisions are based more on emotion. And you ask any person that's married, and when he goes through problems in his life, how many times his wife has asked for a divorce? Only 3 hours later, when she calms down, all of those problems are gone. She has no more issues. They have the best time of their lives after that disagreement or that argument. If it was made in her hands, then the marriage wouldn't last 2 or 3 or 4 weeks. Because of the woman is emotionally driven. As for the man, usually he understands things a lot more differently, a lot more rationally than the woman. And this is the biological makeup and a difference between the males and the females. So Islam from the beginning didn't give her the right for divorce in order for her to give for herself, unless there's a legitimate reason, in which obviously she can seek a divorce and there's no issue with that, but when it's done for a reason. Thaban radiallahu anhu reported the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, أيما امرأة سألت زوجها الطلاق من غير ما بأس فحرام عليها رائحة الجنة رواه أحمد وهو في صحيح الجامع. وعن عقبة بن عامر رضي الله عنه مرفوعا إن المختلعات والمنتزعات هن المنافقات رواه الطبراني في الكبير وفي صحيح الجامع وهو في صحيح الجامع. Thawban radiallahu anhu reported the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, any woman who asks her husband for a divorce with no sound reason will be deprived of smelling the fragrance of paradise. Reported by Ahmed, and it's also reported as authentic by Al-Albani rahimahullah in Sahih al-Jami'. And Uqbah ibn Amir radiallahu anhu reported the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, women who ask for a divorce and women who contend unnecessarily with their husbands, they are the hypocrites. They are the hypocrites, and that's reported by At-Tabarani. Why would the Prophet ﷺ mention such strong words against the woman who asked for a divorce with no reason? Why would the Prophet mention such strong things like they won't smell the fragrance of paradise, or they are the hypocrites? Why would the Prophet ﷺ mention such phrases? Anyone guess? To prevent them from doing it? Good guess. Because of the consequences. Better guess. Does anyone ask for a divorce for no reason? Does anyone ask for a divorce for no reason? If things are decent between a woman and a man, things are normal, things are good between a woman and a man, is the woman going to ask for a divorce for no reason? She's not going to ask for a divorce. What are some of the reasons, the Islamic reasons, that the woman can ask for a divorce? Some of the Islamic reasons that we know. He doesn't spend on her, for example, he doesn't cover the cost of, for example, the house and the clothing and the food, etc. He's an open sinner. The person drinks alcohol and he's not willing to repent. He gambles, he commits zina, etc. and he's not willing to repent. She's allowed to seek a divorce because not of upright character. What else? Okay, hidden disabilities or defects that he didn't mention before. So for example, maybe he can't have children and he's the reason they can't have children, and she wants to have children. She's allowed, if it's proven that the problem from having children is from him. She didn't know that before. She got married without the normal understanding that he can have children. Now it's proven that he can't. So that's a reason, a ground for her to ask for a divorce. These are Islamic reasons. She fears for her life. These are Islamic reasons. If someone comes and asks for no reason to get a divorce, we understand a lot more today. Usually, what's in the background? Usually there's someone on the side. Okay? Or if there isn't zina automatically, if we're not going to assume zina automatically, which we shouldn't, minimally we can say that a lot of time this woman has now got feelings in a non-halal way for other men, for another man. Now, this is usually when you find no reason, usually this is the reason. When you can say, everything is good. Everything is good. Why would she want a divorce? She's given all her rights. He's not a bad person, etc. He's got no defects, etc., etc., etc. Why would she want a divorce? Usually because there's other people involved. If a woman doesn't feel that connection with the man, where she feels that, look, if I stay with this person, I'm not going to be satisfied as a wife, I'm not going to be happy as a wife, and I can't be patient, I don't think I can be patient with him. Can she ask for a divorce? Yani she sees a man and she says, look, I'm not very happy with this person. He's a good Muslim, he's a good person, but I'm not very happy with him. Emotionally, I don't feel that connection with him. And I'm scared that if I stay with this person, it's going to lead me to haram. Can she? Yes, of course she can. Of course she can. And this is the story of Thabit ibn Qais. Thabit ibn Qais, when the Prophet ﷺ gave his wife the khula', gave him wife the divorce. Because she said, Ya Rasulullah, I can't say anything bad about his deen or his akhlaq. His religion and his manners, I can't say anything bad about him. But he's very, very, very unattractive. He's extremely unattractive. And him being extremely unattractive, I'm scared that it's going to lead me to do haram. Because she's not satisfied with her husband. This is Islamically allowed. This is a reason. Now, so when anyone tries to grab this hadith and say, oh, no reason, and Islam doesn't take into the consideration of the woman's emotions. No, the Prophet ﷺ himself gave a specific example. Okay, with the wife of Thabit ibn Qais, that he gave his wife the divorce, and she's the one that asked for it. And the Prophet didn't say anything bad to her because there was a reason, an emotional reason. Okay, this is talking about when there's no reason whatsoever. There's no reason whatsoever. And a lot of the time, it's either a preventative measure in order to not do haram, or, like the brother said, unfortunately, there's already someone in the picture. But if there is a sound reason, such as the husband abandoning prayer, drinking or taking drugs, or forcing his wife to do something haram, or oppressing her and making her suffer, but denying her the rights granted to her by Islam, then he does not listen to advice to mend his ways, then in this case, there is nothing wrong with a woman seeking divorce for her own sake and for the sake of her religion. And if she asks for a divorce and the husband doesn't divorce her, they can get to option 2, which is al-khula'. Al-khula' is that the woman asks for a divorce and she gives back something from materialistic significance, like the mahar that he gave her, or an amount that they agree on, or maybe it could be nothing, it depends on what they agree on, and he gives her the divorce. He says, okay, this is the mahar that you gave me, or this is the amount, and the man divorces the wife, and there's no problem. If the woman has an Islamic right, and the man doesn't want to divorce her, and he doesn't want to accept the khula', and she goes to court, then 100%, if the right is with her, the judge, the qadi, forces the man to divorce. And if he doesn't, he divorces her on his behalf, and she still gets all of her rights. All of the rights from the mahar, etc. She gets from the dowry, all of the rights are given to her. So again, no one can look and say, wallah, the Sharia oppresses the woman. The Sharia came 100% to preserve the woman, but according to what is just and right. We spoke about this last week, and we all need to understand this point 100% clearly. Islam did not come to appease anyone. Not to appease the men, not to appease the women. Islam did not come and it did not say we're a misogynistic religion or we're a feminist religion. Islam did not come and say we're going to continue to bend the rules of human nature until we end up in a non-natural state or an unnatural state. Islam came and said the rules and the laws of Islam are based on al-adl, based on justice, and based on haqq, based on what's right. And this is why it's the only thing that will work. The only thing that will work. And we all know cases, I'm sure, one of the people that I know, now they've been in court for Allahu Alam how long. They've been divorced and separated from their wife. The man owns a few properties. For I don't know how long the case has been going on, where they have to go to mediation, doesn't work, counseling doesn't work, lawyers speak, doesn't work, go to court. The whole court, the whole day, the barrister, I was told they paid about $10,000 or $15,000 for the barrister to be there for the one day. Sorry, we don't have time to do a hearing. If you want, you can come back tomorrow. The man has to pay $10,000, $15,000 in order to go to court for a day he couldn't get a hearing for. Every day, this is continuing. So what they put in place for people to be and what they believe is going to be right and fair, it ends up leading to oppression, and only oppression. You cannot, it is impossible for a person, any person, to get the balance 100% right between what's just for a man and just for a woman, and to save yourself from bad consequences. Impossible, except for Allah Azza wa Jal. Because human beings, we can only judge off what we see right now. That's all we can do. We can try and think what might happen in the future, but it doesn't work. It's failed and it continues to fail. And unfortunately, people don't want to realize that. They don't look at the facts. They don't care. They don't look at, okay, we wanted to be fair to the woman and good to the woman, but we ended up oppressing the man. And don't take the Muslim's word for it. Go to any non-Muslim man who's stuck now in court. Go to a non-Muslim and ask him about his court process and how fair and just it is to him. This is unfortunate reality. Another unfortunate reality. But people don't want to talk about it and people don't want to accept it because it's considered politically correct. And if you do talk like this, you're a misogynist and you get beat up by a few feminists and they'll put you in the news. Allah musta'an. The second sin regarding prohibitions taken lightly, and in this for our lesson today, and this one is also in marriage, is al-dhihar. Anyone know what al-dhihar is? Al-dhihar is when the man says to the woman, you are like the back of my mother. You are like the back of my mother, meaning you're haram for me. And I'm not going to sleep with you. Okay, and if a man doesn't sleep with his wife, then he's going against one of the main reasons of marriage. And so the man here is sinful. Let them take this and put it in the news. Here, it's the man not calling his wife to sleep with her. It's the man refusing to sleep with the wife. And Islam made it a major sin. Islam made it a major sin. And Islam put a severe expiation for these people who say, I'm not going to sleep with my wife. You're haram for me. You're like my sister. You're like my mother's back. I'm not going to go near you. Islam made this a major sin and put an expiation. One of the expressions of the first Jahiliyyah means before the time of Islam. One of the expressions of the first Jahiliyyah that is still widespread in this ummah is the phenomenon of dhihar, whereby a man says to his wife, you are to me like the back of my mother, or you are as forbidden for me as my sister, or other similarly ugly statements whose repulsive nature was confirmed by the Sharia. Because of the oppression of women involved, Allah referred to this in the Quran, where Allah says, الذين يظاهرون منكم من نسائهم ما هن أمهاتهم إن أمهاتهم إلا اللائي ولدنهم وإنهم ليقولون منكرا من القول وزورا وإن الله العفو غفور. Those among you who make their wives unlawful to them by saying to them, you are like my mother's back. They cannot be their mothers. None can be their mothers except those who gave birth to them. And verily they utter an ill word and a lie. And verily Allah is oft pardoning and forgiving. So Allah Azza wa spoke about this in the Quran. And this is a protection for the rights of who? The man or the woman here? Protection for the rights of the woman. Because she also needs to be satisfied sexually. Because that's her right in marriage. Also she needs to be safe from fitna, etc. So when the man comes and oppresses the woman in such a manner, where he says, I'm not going to sleep with you, Allah Azza wa Jal addresses in the Quran. Allah addresses in the Quran, and again, this is what we say, Islam is enough. Islam is enough. It protects the rights of the man and the rights of the woman. The father and the mother, the son and the daughter, the uncle and the auntie, the grandparents. Islam protects the rights of all. The neighbor, the worker, the boss, the person who lends someone something, the lessee, everything and anyone. Islam has already given a ruling that protects all of them based on justice. So anyone who prevents his wife or puts her through such emotional distress, Allah Azza wa Jal says, in terms of its expiation, the Sharia has imposed a heavy penalty, kafara, for this crime, similar to that required for killing a person by mistake or having intercourse during the day in Ramadan. The person who has committed dhihar is not permitted to approach his wife until he has paid the penalty. His penalty is, as Allah says, والذين يظاهرون من نسائهم ثم يعودون لما قالوا فتحرير رقبة من قبل أن يتماسا ذلكم توعظون به والله بما تعملون خبير فمن لم يجد فصيام شهرين متتابعين من قبل أن يتماسا فمن لم يستطع فإطعام 60 مسكينا ذلك لتؤمنوا بالله ورسوله وتلك حدود الله وللكافرين عذاب أليم. Just like if a person kills someone by mistake, it was an accident, killed someone by accident, or a person had intercourse purposely in the day of Ramadan while he was meant to be fasting, Allah Azza wa Jalla gave the same expiation to the one who says to his wife, just a statement, one sentence, you are like the back of my mother, Allah gave him the same expiation. And those who make unlawful to them their wives by way of zihar, and wish to free themselves from what they uttered, the penalty in that case is to free a slave. If they find a slave to free, they have to free a slave before they touch each other. And you're not allowed to go next to your wife until you free a slave. If you can't. Allah says, that is an admonition to you so that you may not return to such an ill thing. And Allah is all aware of what you do. And he who finds not the money or the means to free a slave must fast 2 consecutive months before they touch each other. What's the punishment for the man? Not for the woman. For the man, what's his punishment? If he can't free his slave, he has to fast 2 consecutive months. Yani if he starts not from the beginning of the Hijri calendar, okay, yani the simple way to work it out is to fast 60 days. He used to fast 60 days straight on purpose. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. He has to fast. Day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7, all the way until he fasts 60 days straight. The only excuse he has if he for breaking the fast is if he's unable to fast. If he's unable to fast, either by way of sickness, and a physical problem, like he's sick, or it could be, as some of the ulama said, like for example the day of Eid, because the day of Eid we're not allowed to fast. But in terms of other than the normal excuses that he may have, he has to fast 6 days straight. And if he intentionally breaks his fast, one day he's up to day 39, for example, and he says, man, his family came over for a barbecue, and he says, Ya Allah, that chicken, and they've got the garlic ready, and the bread is fresh, and the salad's there, and he says, look, I've got to eat. I've got to eat. And he eats on day 39. What happens to him? Start again. Start again. Next day. Day 1 again. All the way until he does 60 straight. This is his expiation. He's not allowed to leave. He's not allowed to leave the expiation until he does it properly. He never leaves it. And if he doesn't do the expiation, he can't go back to his wife. Again, does his wife have to do any of this? No. His wife doesn't have to do any of this. This is a punishment only on the man. As for him who is unable to do so, say maybe a person is weak, and their body physically is weak, they need to take medicine, etc., then he should feed 60 poor people. That is in order that you may have perfect faith in Allah and His Messenger, and for the disbelievers there is a painful punishment. So this is, dear brothers, again another example of the ways the Sharia itself protects the woman. The Sharia itself protects the woman. And no one talks badly about the Sharia and its protection of women except the people that don't understand Sharia, or the people that lack wisdom and insight, or hypocrites. Take your pick. Someone who doesn't know the Sharia, or people that lack wisdom and insight, they know parts of the Sharia, but they lack wisdom and insight, or clear-cut hypocrites that know the truth and know the wisdom and know the reasonings, but they choose to openly refuse because of whims and desires or whatever other inspiration the shayateen give. The Sharia in every aspect, especially the ones that they talk against, came to protect the woman. Oh, the woman can't get married without a wali. This is for the protection of the woman. This is for the betterment of the woman. One of the main reasons the Sharia knows how easy it is for a man to talk to a woman and to fool the woman. How many girls, especially young girls, not young little age, I'm talking about older teenagers. How many of them were spoken to nicely by a person who took them, used them for what they wanted, and then left them? How many women, when they're looking for some sort of emotional support, and they find that in the form of a man, the man takes advantage of them, gets what he wants from the woman, and then leaves them. And the woman gets into more problems and more depression. Islam came to protect all of this from the beginning. From the beginning. And that's why you have to place a wali. Make sure this man is upright. The man understands the man, just like the woman understands the woman. Make sure she's upright. Make sure this man is upright. He wants to come, let him come ask for your hand properly. Let him come marry you. If the person is serious about getting to know you, let him get to know you properly. If he's serious about wanting to be with you, let him be with you in a manner that he's got rights and responsibilities. Islam came to protect the woman. Islam came to ensure that this wali not only looks after the woman before marriage, but even after marriage. That if the woman, لا قدر الله, ever have problems, she has someone that she can go back to easily. And say, my husband, for example, isn't spending on me. My husband is doing this to me. My husband is oppressing me. She needs someone to go back to. If a man is more powerful than the woman physically, he's not going to care about the woman if she complains. She says anything, get out of my face, move on. But when this man knows that this woman has a wali, that he's accountable to, if anything goes wrong, he starts to think twice and 3 times and 4 times about trying to oppress or take away any of the rights of this woman through the marriage. After the marriage, la qadallah, there was divorce or the husband passes away. Islam doesn't want for this woman to be a miskina and be out on the street. No, her brothers and her father, her uncles, etc. These people are responsible for this woman. They're responsible, they're financially obliged to ensure that their sister is looked after. Because this is a person that they're responsible for direct responsibility. To make sure that she doesn't have to go out and do anything haram or to put herself at risk or put herself in vulnerable situations in order to earn a living, etc. Her brothers should look after her. Her father, her uncles, if they're able. These people that should be looking after her. And if they can't get their rights through the wali, etc., Islam gave the court system in order for her to get her rights. So Islam gave the court system in order for her to get her rights. So many rulings in Islam. Scholars have said that if a man, for example, promises a woman mahar, if he doesn't give that mahar or he doesn't spend on her, etc., then she is allowed to refuse him intercourse. She's allowed to refuse him intercourse. Because no, you're not going to look after me, why should I give you your rights in marriage? For example. And then she's not sinful on that, like against what we spoke against last week. Anything and everything. The Sharia has put things in place in order to protect the woman. The woman's hijab, the lack of intermingling between men and women, so many things, wallahi, so many things. Islam gave the woman izzah. Islam gave the woman haya, chastity and modesty. Islam gave the woman iffa. Islam gave all of the women all of these things, wallahi. And any woman who sits down and truly ponders over the role of a woman in this life and tries to choose any religion, she's only got one choice, and that's the choice of Islam. Only has one choice. Because Islam came in line with how a woman should be. And that's why so many of the converts to Islam are women. So many of the converts to Islam are women, the vast majority. Why? Because they know we tried everything else. What worked for us? What worked for us? Feminism didn't work. For me to try and act sexually liberated didn't work. For me to try and act like a man didn't work. For me to try and be the boss of my husband or my boyfriend didn't work. For me to do what society told me, everything, from top to bottom, do what society told me, and the most attractive woman on the face of the earth, didn't make me happy. The only thing is to act in the way that Allah Azza wa Jalla wanted me to act, and that is through Islam. But again, the only ones that don't understand that are the ones who don't know the rulings of Islam, or lack wisdom and insight, or are clear-cut hypocrites. When we raise our children, dear brothers, and we speak to our families and our friends, speak to them about how Islam itself protects and preserves and gives the woman everything that she needs in this dunya. As opposed to letting them see day and night what's out there and what's on TV and what they should be like, and then ending up like them, not realizing until it's too late, they only led them to a miserable life full of depression and hardship and trying to follow a mirage and attain a mirage that they will never achieve. هذا والله أعلم وصلى الله محمد وعلى آل محمد وصحبه أجمعين.
بالله كم تستطب القروح ويبرأ جروح الكثير الجريح وينشط ذاك السقيم العليل وقد كان بالسقم دهرا طريق